What is the one piece of advice you would give to a bloke to be 1% better every day?
Find that goal, know you're working towards it. Keep chipping away every day, whether that's putting money aside, whether that's being happier, being more successful at work. You're doing one thing every day that sort of puts you further towards that. Find a hobby, something you like doing, somewhere you can clear your head, and make sure you spend at least a good hour every week doing that. When it comes to your career, your job, your house, don't overthink it, just sort of let it happen. Too many blokes sort of stressing themselves out, overthinking it, planning too far in advance. Just focus a bit more on the day and enjoy the day instead of trying to enjoy a day 5 years down the track.
Yeah. Being present in today, I think is really important. So
being present in the now, not so much the day, just the here and now, and enjoying that, making that time for family, friends, mates. Yeah, taking some time to enjoy your life as well as getting to where you want to be.
Yeah, perfect. No, so the next part is normally, so we're just going to jump in just very quickly, just introduce yourself, your 1 minute, sort of who you are, where you're from, what do you do for Crust, just so people have a bit of a baseline of where you're coming from.
Righto. Sam Bigwood, currently got a job with Mental Health Council of Tasmania, project officer statewide. I'm trying to create a literacy program to when people are in that happy space, trying to keep them in that happy space, trying to ease some of the burden on the current medical system. I've spent the last 4 years in Northern Territory doing community services work out through there. Learned a lot up in there, seen a lot of interesting things in some of the remote communities. Prior to that, sort of strong background in agriculture and worked my way around Australia and worked on a lot of different properties around the place. And then sort of started to see, especially farmers up through Queensland, so now how they're doing it. Pushed into the mental health side of things. Well, I sort of get into youth work, but sort of mental health, suicide prevention become the main focus. Come back home in Tassie this year and lost a really good mate to suicide. So that's where we started the Our Brothers Keeper page. From that, got in touch with Aaron through one of the mental health first aid courses and sort of been involved with Man Up Tassie ever since, and a few of the other men's groups around the place. And love that there's actually a focus now on men's health, and we are starting to see it is an issue.
For me to obviously have you on board with all the experience that you've got, and also something that I just want to throw out there to the guys that might be listening or watching this podcast. Although you do work for Mental Health Council of Tassie, like I don't want sort of everyone to sort of think that you are like a mental health professional, not to sort of downplay what you're at, but this podcast is simply about blokes just pretty much talking shit about like mental health and helping blokes just be that little bit better. It's not about that sort of clinical advice or real high. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to.
And that's what that's what I love about the job and sort of where it's at. Not to downplay the professionals in the industry. There is a lot of professionals and stuff, and a lot of people go and do a lot of hard work and that professional side of it. But I've always been a big believer that half the key to mental health comes back to cold beer, country music, and having your mates around. There's nothing better than standing around you today. Prime example: beautiful weather, couple of mates, go for a ride, go up into Sheffield, up through the mountains, get a few mates around home on a Friday, Saturday night, and those people you can bounce your problems off. Then it's definitely got a place in the mental health system. And
we've spoke lots about that previously at your old address, that about having that conversation, and it's not necessarily about results or anything. It's just about having a conversation and being there and having a safe space to say something if you want to, and also not say anything if you don't want to. So yeah, really agree with that. Just as long as you're doing what you enjoy with the people that you enjoy doing it with, and if that is sitting at a computer by yourself, that's fine too, as long as you are taking that time to really understand where you are at.
It's all about having a laugh and sort of knowing what it is you enjoy doing, whether that's riding bikes, drinking beers, whatever. It's sharing it with good people. And,
taking some of that time to download and empty that bucket.
Yeah.
Get some space back.
Yeah, I said that with the bike, that you load up the week's problems, put your hand on the tank when you're filling it up, and load all the week's problems into the tank of your bike and get out on the highway, and 1 down, 5 up. all the week's problems out the parts of the bottle and not carrying them into next week. They were last week's problems.
It's a really good point, mate. And it's probably a good segue into the next sort of question that I think I sent through to you at the beginning. But you've obviously got a lot of experience in this place and you've spoken to a lot of people. What would be some of the best or the key strategies that you would use yourself to help maintain your sort of mental health, and what kind of strategies, tools or suggestions would you sort of give to others to help them sort of manage their mental health?
Don't be ashamed of it. Everyone goes through hard times. Hard times are what make us. Some of us don't have the most prettiest past, but they're what got you to here and now. What you did yesterday is not a reflection on who you are today. One step towards today's, one step towards your future. For me, it was sort of going, well, yeah, I did fuck up a lot in the past. That was 10, 15 years ago. And sort of being able to sort of sit there with blokes now and go, you can make mistakes, you're not going to change you for the rest of your life. And sort of being able to know where you want to end up. Be able to give something back to, whether it's a community organisation, whether it's a charity, whether it's anything, just give some of your own time just to sit down and hear other people's stories. Once you sort of hear how hard some people do it around the place, it opens your eyes up that maybe what you're going through, someone else is going through it. Don't be afraid to talk to someone.
Yeah, there's enough people out there and with enough similar experiences that someone might be able to help.
I think it was a movie, good Australian movie in the 80s that sort of said that whatever you're going through, someone's already been through it and they've wrote it down. Pick up a book, pick up a phone, find a mate. Just find someone, bounce it off them, and they'll probably, if they don't know how to answer it themselves, they know 10 people that might.
Do you find that the big old Aussie way of men don't cry, and they do bottle it up, and that's what causes them to get to that rock bottom before they seek help, and they are ashamed to find help before
Definitely
they get there?
I don't know. It's sort of been said around the place, I've heard in a lot of conversations recently that up until 10, 15 years ago, men didn't talk about their problems. If you had a problem with someone, you sorted it out down the pub on a Friday night. That was it. It was done, it was dusted. Times have changed. We're not designed to sit around and talk. All throughout history, we've sort of sat there and been able to fight things out or whatever, and this whole thing that we don't talk, we are trying. Blokes all around the country are trying to talk. They're trying to go to services. The services designed to deal with blokes, not all the time, because it is a new thing. Like,
Do you think that it's blokes not talking, or do you think that we just don't know how to listen?
I think it's don't know how to listen.
Yeah, definitely.
Like too many people are afraid to use the straight up language that blokes use, or you won't walk into any professional service and they'll tell you to get fucked and go over there, make yourself a coffee, or it's not like the bandy you get around the pub. You get a bit of truth serum in most blokes, they'll tell you what's going on. Heard a great analogy of it a couple of months ago by an old publican that blokes used to come in, they'd have used to be 6 beers on a Friday night. The first 2 beers, they sort of go, they're talking about the footy, they're saying g'day to everyone around them. Third and fourth beer, they start talking about their weeks, what's going on. Fourth and fifth beer, they start talking all their problems. They're having problems with their finances, problems with their relationships. 6 beer, they absorb it all, they leave it all there on the bar, they go home. For some blokes, or dissolving it all down the pub on a Friday night used to be the way that we sorted it out.
Yeah. But back to the referring as being poor listeners, we would just listen and that was it. We wouldn't, if Aaron told me about all his problems and we just sat there, had 6 beers and listened, and we walked back home and that was it.
Being able to debrief it, you're not carrying it.
Yeah, he's debriefed it, but we also haven't fixed anything either.
Yeah.
We just know there's a problem.
We know there's a problem. We probably come back to whatever.
We need to be better listeners and seek that support if it is needed in those circumstances. But I for one wouldn't know where to find a lot of that support. It's you've got to speak to the right people and put them in touch with the right people to get the results.
That is starting to change a fair bit. Using the analogy a fair bit recently, the Crocodile Dundee said it perfectly in the movie in the 80s that everyone needs more mates. Well, was it something about you don't have problems, you don't have psychiatrists and Walkabout Creek. You got a problem there, you just tell Wally tells the whole town, no more problem. And it's sort of become like that thing here that everyone needs more mates. COVID's made people a lot more isolated. It's getting people back to those basics of just sitting down by a river, having a yarn, sitting on the tailgate of a ute, just having a yarn, and no one should walk alone.
Really good point. Like I was just absorbing, obviously, what what you said, and we've had heaps of conversations about this in the past. So, from a Man Up Tas point of view, like we've been working together now for quite a while, so we obviously share a lot of sort of common beliefs. But I think it's really important for blokes to hear that it's okay to not. Or it's also okay to not understand how you're feeling, because blokes are just not wired that way. I don't know what evidence is out there to sort of back that up, but I think just through my sort of experience and through experiences of talking to numerous other people as well, we just don't necessarily understand our emotions so well that we can articulate what it is that we're feeling.
And that's it. A lot of blokes don't know how to articulate things, or you try and go into a service and tell them what's going on, and it's a shame job. You're trying to sit there and say to someone that your finances are rooted, or something's going on at home, or we're meant to be able to provide for our families. It is a shame. It is hard to walk through those doors for the first time. And how do you even have that conversation? Well, we all go through shit, and we've all had hard times, but being able to sort of sit there and go, I'm struggling. No bloke wants to be able to do that. A lot of blokes don't know how to start that conversation.
I think that's where one of your original topics of Man Up Tas came from too, wasn't it, Aaron? Rather than having a set of doors that someone has to walk through, you take that conversation to the people, and catch them not catch them, catch them, but take that conversation to where they're comfortable, rather than them
100%.
needing to go and seek it out.
Yeah. It was the original concept of Man Up Tas, and not to talk about it too much because it's not a Man Up Tas sort of specific podcast, but it was to catch blokes where they are, not create another spot for them to come to.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, for so many men, like, one, they don't know when they've got a fucking problem. So you need to go to where they are just all the time.
Yeah.
And from our point of view, like we look at, I won't harp on too much, but talking to community, like so many community members just said, there's so many reactive services that exist out there in our system here in Tassie. But look, I imagine it's the same system across Australia, and then probably even like worldwide, to be fair, like where everyone's really reactive to a lot of mental health problems, but they're not really looking at the proactive response of education and providing that education to a community so that they can better help themselves. And that's what Man Up Tas is all about. The philosophy we live by and die by is, based on a millennia-old sort of proverb of, you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. You teach a man how to fish, he eats for a lifetime. That whole sort of idea of teaching people how to sort of manage their mental health. So what are some ways that we can sort of manage our mental health now and into the future? And I think, personally, the best way is community capacity building across the board. So
that's what I loved about Man Up sort of at the start, that it is about providing that education and how do we stay in that happy place. We all go through shit times, or we're all going to face it sooner or later, but maybe the answer isn't always the answer might be in the toolbox. But we need half a dozen tools. We don't just need some prescription medication to sit in the same house. That we go through things that mental health might become a factor of it, but it's not one tool that we provide people with. It's the full toolbox. We give people, the friends, the connection to a financial counsellor or a psychologist. We give them someone to talk to. We give them that place to vent.
Yeah, catch it before crisis.
Yeah. So try and push it back from that pointy end.
Yeah.
The one, medication's definitely got its place. Is it the answer? It's a conversation we could have for hours on end.
Tool in a toolbox.
It is a tool in a toolbox,
I think. And look, the same, I have a personal belief that, it's the same as talking. Talking is a tool in a toolbox. Like, at the end of the day, talking can help, but talking is a diagnostic tool of understanding. Talking obviously just helps sort of having this sort of shit talk, but, it might not actually get down to the root of the problem. You actually need to understand what the problem is to then fix it. I digress a little bit from dribbling shit, but to go back, and you sort of mentioned it a little bit, if you don't mind just sharing sort of perhaps some of your mental health journey, like where have you sort of been? What kind of actions have you put in place to get yourself to where you are today?
Yeah, right. As most kids sort of coming up, I used to be the short little fat kid, so that was always a bit of fun at school. Got used to be, that was always ran into those blokes a couple of years later, and that was an interesting conversation when you'd grown a foot and a half, and hit the gym for a fair while. Beers have won out over the summer. Lost an old man to a pub fight when I was about 15, so sort of hit a fair bit of solace in the alcohol and the drug scene for a while, and partied like a rock star for a fair while, and got myself in a fair bit of trouble, and ended up doing a bit of a government funded holiday there for a minute, and went back to the mainland, hanging around with some interesting characters. And sort of started to see then and there that it was heading nowhere fast. So went up to the high country, up in New South Wales there, and running horses up through the mountains. And it was a bit of a shame job when the 65-year-old men are out running you. I love their approach to sort of their mental health up there. That a lot of things could be fixed with being outdoors. Put the head back in the books, and got into what to do first. We did a PT course, and always been a big one for trying to push yourself, trying to move that bit forward. So even personal development, I think that's sort of what does affect a lot of blokes is when they become stagnant. So trying to always learn something new. And had an opportunity probably 4 years ago to go up in the Territory and go and work in some remote communities up there. And it was a big one for my own mental health, sort of saying how hard a lot of people, so I knew that from Melbourne, how hard a lot of people did it, but saying that the First Nations people, saying what it's like up there in Territory, it was a bit of an eye-opener. So, pushed a few more courses out, and had the goal of, after 2 years in community, I was going to buy myself a Harley. And, sitting out there in the driveway now, and can't believe it. A lot of life's issues can be solved in finding that one thing you love, that one thing you enjoy, whether that's riding bikes, racing cars, riding horses. If you got that place that you can just escape the world, and video game or whatever, mobile phone or whatever, if you can escape the world for a while.
Yeah, no, mate, I can, attest to a lot of that. Like, obviously, what you were just saying towards the end there. Like, for me, it's it's going to the gym.
Yep.
That time to just sit there and not think about anything else. And I imagine, from having I won't call it a race car, but a car that was not even fast, a car that I used to drive through some twisties at a speed that was probably not recommended. But, I can understand where you're coming from with that. Really powerful. And thanks for sharing, I guess, your story about sort of where you come from, because I think it's really important to know that, like, your lived experience sort of builds who you are, where you are today. Definitely. And I think you made that really important point at the beginning about how, we can't judge someone based on, some actions that they made some 15, 20 odd years ago. So,
sorry. A lot of blokes out there, we do put barriers on ourselves that we've got a criminal record, it does become harder to get a job. So that becomes a barrier in front of you. Struggling to read and write. We don't try and put ourselves through courses because the shame job sort of thing around it. So it's, most blokes have got the capability to be able to do anything they bloody want. And that diploma the other week, doing a diploma of leadership and management. Got a call just after Christmas to say that I'm cutting the funding, that's it. Finish this up in a couple of months, or you just wasted all your time. When, we'll stuff then.
Yep.
A couple of days later, calmed down and went, Stuffies, approved. A week and a half did 8 modules out of a diploma, and or when we do set our minds to anything, blokes can achieve anything.
And you finished it.
And I finished it.
Yeah. Haven't got back, but you finished
I
it.
got it back now.
Oh, have you?
Yeah,
Did you pass?
passed it.
Fucking winning.
Fucking win.
Well done, mate.
Solid.
Good on you.
Epic.
6 days, 8 modules.
Yeah. For anyone that says that they don't have time to do study or to do sort of further learning, Sam's one of the busiest people that I know, and he managed to do it. So I think anyone can do something if they put enough sort of put their mind to it. I think most people can sort of accomplish pretty much anything that you sort of set your mind to.
And that's a good thing. Well, with a lot of the online learning and stuff, you do it at your own pace. So it's half hour here and there, and it's a bloody good sense of satisfaction at the end of it. Or for a lot of blokes, it is a piece of paper with your name on the end of it. And
Yeah, well done, mate. So last question sort of for the podcast, and we get everyone to sort of wrap up by giving this to answering this question. But what would you sort of what advice would you give to 18-year-old, 20-year-old Sam, 25-year-old Sam?
18-year-old Sam, put some money aside. Don't waste it all every weekend. Don't party too hard. For me, one of the biggest things I'm at 19 years old, left Tassie and travelled around Australia. I'd recommend that to absolutely anyone. Go and jump on a station, go jump on a property, meet some people, meet people from all around the world. What you're seeing as you're growing up, or some of the people you meet on the road, they'll change your life forever. They'll become some of the best mates you've ever known. 21-year-old Sam, well, looking back on it, that was some pretty good times. Sort of on the mainland, wild and free. 24-year-old, I probably would have said, study harder, put your head in the books. And I don't think I would have, still don't think I would have gone for a uni, diplomas. Diplomas or online courses. Know your goals, know where you want to end up in the future, but don't say no to a good time. Enjoy those times with your mates, enjoy those random adventures, enjoy those fuck it days where you go, fuck it, it's a nice day, I'm going to jump in the car and I'm going to go over Binlong Bay for 3 days. Fuck it, enjoy it.
Perfect way to end it as well, mate. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
And no doubt we'll probably have you on again in the future. Cheers, mate. Thanks.
Thanks,
Thanks. Cheers.